The beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Smoking big cigars. I hope you're ready for what's coming now. I'm the one, I'm the lady that would bring you down. There's a joint on the corner where the big boys play, where the whiskey's running like the rivers, but they all never come for the booze and bass. I'm the one, I'm the lady that'll rock this place. That'll rock this place. That'll rock this place. Rock this place. Rock this place. Rock this place.
How to improve your leadership and management skills with the coming changes of AI in the market. Okay, today we have a great show. I have Henry Hayes, and he's going to talk to us about how to become a disruptor in your space, and specifically how to tackle this new technology called AI to get ahead. Wisdom involved in leadership of when is it time to make a change? Knowing how to handle change is an important part of leadership. So we're so change oriented, we disrupt, but yet we have to be disruptors, right? Things are happening so fast right now that if we don't learn how to make those things changes for ourselves, we're going to get left behind. We probably already are.
I think, to me, leading in these disruptive times has got to start with your own mindset. Meaning, even if it's just learning not to judge new things.
So the initial reaction to change, like I like what you said, don't judge it and don't react. Us, again, we come back to this whole issue. Things are changing so fast on us, around us, and some things are coming that we're not going to have a say, so we just need to get in front of it or how to run with the whole thing that's happening.
And I can show you what at the time was thought of as radical change. Let's go back to 1908. Henry Ford rolls off the first Model T, which is a mass-produced automobile in Michigan. What do you think the locals thought then, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have anything called an assembly line. This was an internal combustible engine, which replaced the horse and buggy, which had been around for not decades, centuries, right? The point of that story is that was over 100 years ago. All along the way, these interstitial points. Can you imagine, Maurice, your life without an automobile? You want to go back to the horse and buggy?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, yeah.
Right?
No.
How about we're down south being inserted into agriculture. Everyone is always presented with these points of, okay, here's the change. Take the emotion out of it, whether you use it or not. Can you non-emotionally examine, okay, where does the tech come from? Why is it being produced? Who's going to use it? How will it help? What are the pros, cons? If you just do that, you're 95% ahead of your peer group. Just that.
I know we're going to talk about how to be a disruptive leader, and I know we have to dive into this whole thing that is artificial intelligence and how it's impacting just the coaching, the content creators, producing, if you're doing your podcast, all the tools out there. And Henry, I came out of there blown away. How do we incorporate it into our companies when I've already experienced what this workshop brought out is the minute you mention it to your people, a lot of your employees will recognize the fact that, I'm going to lose my job soon because I'm going to be replaced, because we can introduce this in here because it's going to disrupt us at a very negative. So hopefully I set it up correctly. Start wherever you want to start.
The older you get, you run a lot quicker when you can't process the change working for you. So if you could just press the brakes on that,
sure,
you're way ahead. All these new tools are intended to make life easier for us humans. Now, individually, Maurice, if you value your role as a leader in business, this is a must-have. You cannot stick your head in the sand and say, well, I'm going to come up for air and things are going to be the same, and I'll leave that to someone else. It's the computer in the late 80s, the internet in the late 90s. e-commerce in the 2000s. This is that times 5. When you do just enough homework, Maurice, you'll say, these technologies aren't going to put people out of a job. People who know how to use these technologies are going to put people.
Yeah. I read someone last week that said something similar, that said, you're not going to lose your job or your competitive edge because you didn't know how to use AI. You will more than likely lose competitive edge or your existence as a business because your competitors learned how to use AI. In the curtain and showed us behind the scenes what bringing AI into your company looks like. And yeah, those people in our space and in many spaces, they didn't apply just to coaches, consultants, and content creators. They gave the examples of law firms, gave the examples of engineering shops, they give the examples of manufacturing, how the tools are there to make things a lot more streamlined and to get the end results faster. How to become mentally more of a disruptor so that you can make better decisions.
Yeah, it's just really easy for the leaders who follow your podcast, Maurice. If you're a leader, you care about your leadership lid and the effect you have on people and the extent to which they listen to you. This is right down Broadway for you then. Because if you don't have a handle on this or a thesis of how to use this in your career, you're going to lose that credibility. And by the way, that doesn't mean that you have to have it all figured out. In fact, I'd say there's power in vulnerability, saying, I don't know what that is, but I'll be darned if I'm not going to chase it so I can help the both of us. That is leadership to me.
We are in 2023. GPT-4 has been announced. We are facing what we're facing now. What are you seeing here for us to pay attention to in the short and in the now? Talk to us about that.
A lot of these concepts of Web3, Maurice, things like the blockchain, decentralized finance, artificial intelligence. But then when late November, early December 22 hit, the game changed. And that's when a company called OpenAI launched ChatGPT-3, which is essentially an artificially intelligent program.
Just to let the cat out of the bag, up until this point, all of you have been interacting with our company through our AI avatar. And I was going, wait a minute, I've been interacting with your company for 3 weeks now. Phone calls, emails, follow-up, calendar invites, emailed questions. I've had people call me back. I did. One of the other people said, so all that was your AI? And they said, yeah, all that was our AI intelligent tools, knowing our products, our process, interacting with you, and y'all couldn't tell. This is a radically different approach to redesigning your business and moving things faster.
If I'm that plumber or that air conditioning owner, how can I use this to make more money? The subcategories in there, I'd say, how do you get your leads? How do you follow up with customers who have used you? How do you communicate with your customers? How do you set your schedule? All those things are low-hanging fruit that we can do today. There are uses in artificial intelligence, which are pretty easy, which can create, you can create a 30-day LinkedIn posting schedule, 100% created by the AI, in your voice, tone, down to the customer segment, and do it for you in nanoseconds. My company, Maurice, we've started training and placing prompt engineers into businesses. Prompt engineers. Now, what is that? That is a person that can go 3, 4, 5 layers deep to do what I just told you, right? Like that. What if we could design a communication pattern with those people to at least just say, hey, it's Maurice from Maurice's Air Conditioning. I know we're about to head into winter. Here's what you need to do from a maintenance perspective. You know my number. Call me if you need me. Pleasure to serve you, right? He doesn't do that today because he doesn't have time, right? This can do it in nanoseconds. Maurice's Air Conditioning Company. You're going to need new collateral that tells the world what Maurice is doing.
Collateral means a one page. That collateral means my landing page. The collateral means the email that's going to be generated from that one page to send out to my 15,000 content database. Those are collaterals that I spend on.
That's when we created our own prompt engineer certification, all done through ChatGPT.
That individuals handle change and trauma very differently. And if we're not mindful of creating unnecessary change and unnecessary trauma, we as managers and leaders, the more we climb up the title chain, we learn how to bounce back. Whereas our team members, they're a few paces behind, and nothing impacts them more than losing a team member. We have to recognize that the change like that, especially when it deals with individual human beings leaving the company or leaving to another department or leaving to another position up or down or just gone, it impacts them at a harder degree than others. So we as managers don't want to downplay that. There's a reality to it. It's the human element of managing people and going through the change that we have to create in order to grow. I'm anxious to bring John Sherk on board. Hey guys, is he still in the studio? Hey, look, you heard some of what I just said. What do you think?
Yep. The number of available people with adequate talent and the number of jobs available, the extreme gap, and it's getting bigger every day, is unprecedented in the history of American work. And
really?
Absolutely. Yes. Never in American history has there been a bigger gap. Never in American history has unemployment been lower for this long time. So the pressure, the competition, there's no such thing as recruiting people who need a job anymore, because anybody you would want to hire already has one. And so the whole process of recruiting and retaining people is changing pretty rapidly.
As a recruiter myself, I felt it, but I had no idea that's the size of the hole in the challenge that we're facing. So there's more jobs than what there's people that around. People are working.
Yeah.
So therefore, there's not a whole lot. The pool is not there anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, John, I hear in the recruitment world, it is hard to find good people.
Oh, of course.
Reality, I oftentimes also feel that most recruiters aren't fishing right.
Correct.
Because I have been on fishing trips where I couldn't catch a fish, and yet the three people with me were catching fish. You're saying, though, is a bigger problem, and that is not that you can't find good people. You're saying we can't find people.
Yes. The problem is there's no one like that out there anymore that anybody owning a company wants to hire. There's no one out there without a job looking for one, that kind of talent that you want to bring in.
Now, I'm honestly trying to process what you're saying because I'm a little blown away. How is that so?
I tell this to my clients all the time. If you find a collection of people who need a job, I don't mean this in a mean way, but they're probably not the people you want. That's not what's happening in the current labor market. Bring in, if they want a job, they can't find it.
Give me an example.
Well, like, let's say somebody's got an opening for an air conditioning technician.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I work in the air conditioning business.
Sure.
And they put an ad on Indeed that says, we're hiring. They get crickets. The idea of saying to the world, job opening, we're hiring, that's meaningless in the current labor market.
The message is jump. We're not just looking for people looking for jobs. I'm actually trying to attract those that are not looking for a job, and I'm encouraging you to jump.
You have to get out of the mindset, I'm looking for someone out there. Whoever it is you want, they have a job and they're already working somewhere else. Yes. Never in American history has there been a bigger gap. Never in American history has unemployment been lower for this long time. So much so that it's actually changing the experience of work itself.
So say it again, the gap between what and what?
The gap between the available number of people and the amount of jobs and work to be done and jobs available. Many more jobs available than people to hire. Especially 2016, it's more like 300 people want those 100 loaves of bread. And even now there's talk of recession or slowdown. All that means is it takes us down to 150 people who want those 100 loaves of bread. So the pressure, the competition, there's no such thing as recruiting people who need a job anymore, because anybody you would want to hire already has one. And so the whole process of recruiting and retaining people is changing pretty rapidly. Whoever it is you want, they have a job and they're already working somewhere else. Now, they may be frustrated, may be open, but the time frame, if someone say, well, they get frustrated, they quit. The time frame to find the next job is measured in hours or days, not weeks or months. And you would have to have amazing, magical timing to find someone who's looking for a job if they have the level of talent that you need.
Whenever I'm helping clients with recruiting, I'm telling them that if you put an ad out and you get 12 resumes, and if by the end of the next business day, you have not contacted those individuals on that batch of 15 people, by the beginning of the second day, the top ones are no longer available. Then the next top ones have already given up on you. And then you're left with the bottom 4, bottom 6, and then you say, I can't find good people.
That's exactly, you're singing my song, man. But from the moment that they begin to look, the time frame from when they're looking to when they get an offer is microminutes. I mean, it is fast. And if you're not, and we'll talk about this eventually, if you're not already in a relationship with them, your shot at having that magical timing is almost zero. Your only shot is to have taken them to lunch before, and now they're calling you first. And I say, how did you find your way here? It's never less than 70% of the employees got there because of a friend or relative, right? So the thing to do is to find a way to organize those relationships, get referrals from your front line, then go take those people to lunch, to coffee, whatever, create this backlog, this bullpen, this pipeline of people that you're just getting to know. Because when someone is considering coming to work for you, there's the initial offer that you're making, both the wage, but also the soft components of the offer. Here's what it's like to work here. But they don't know if they believe you yet. By going out there and getting to know them first, talking to them about their frustration, telling them your frustrations and your things you're still working on. You don't know how to solve it yet, but here's where we're going as a company. And man, maybe this will never turn into anything, but this would be great if we could work together someday. Okay. And then keeping up with them, not stalking, but every couple months, take them out to lunch again. Eventually, when that person is ready to make a move, you have skipped the timing problem because they already know you. They already know what they're getting. And if you've done it well, you are fishing, and what your company is the bait. And now they're coming over because they want to. And that's the new version of recruiting. Remember the old days, Mo, when we used to have jobs and we were afraid of losing them?
Yeah.
Right. That experience, the fear of losing a job, that literally that experience is fading out of the experience of work.
So what do you mean?
Because they can get another job in 15 minutes.
Okay.
There's no grand fear of, what if I can't get another job? If people who have enough skill that they're the kind of person you would want to recruit, they can get another job working for anybody else in town in literally 15 minutes. I tested this with a group of air conditioning supervisors, and I said,
everybody and see how fast they got fired. What would you do?
Well, I just said, I guess they tested me. I said, you guys can find another job in 15 minutes. They're like, ha, ha, ha. Well, we took a break, and one of them said, I'm going to test this. So we got on the phone, came back after break, and he said, you're right. Got offered with this truck, this wage, come right now.
Are you serious?
Yes.
And did he actually jump?
No, he didn't take it. He was just like, oh, I thought you were full of crap, but you're not. That's why I'm saying that the velocity of that process, the luck you have to catch someone in that moment versus knowing them beforehand. That's why I'm saying it's such a big deal.
That reality, John, like most of my experiences with you, you connect dots for me that it takes me 8 months to.
I do this with clients now. I call it the in-house recruiting machine, but all it really is creating a backlog of people you'd like to hire.
I guess what you're talking about is intentional bullpen from folks from within that have those relationships with folks from inside. Is that right?
That's right. Right. If you need a company controller and there's one of them and you could grow another 100 people and you only need the one, you don't need a machine for that. But if you are 17 but aspire to become 30, and of that next 13, 10 of them are basically the same role-ish to deliver more work that you've sold, that's when you need the machine. If you only need one person and that's all you need, use a traditional recruiter to just find that one person.
I guess that's where I was hovering around is I just need to hire 1-2 people. But if I'm needing to create scalability, get ahead of any kind of growth, or just get ahead of losing people, right?
Right. I mean, if you have enough churn, if you've only got 20 people, but you lose 10 of them a year, then you still need the machine because, you have another issue to address in there. But still, it depends on how many of these you hire in a given year.
So the recruiting process is either screwed up, it's delayed, it's not set up properly, or really the CFO didn't agree that we needed the position, the role, the job description, the pay, the bonus. Who are they going to report to? What are their major goals? That's got to be decided up front amongst the company. Otherwise, when you find a top person and somebody pulses for a day on any one of those things, you lost your fish.
The key is, am I positioning myself to offer something they can't get somewhere else, something other than wages? There are 5 progressive needs that an employee is going to have at different phases of their career and different phase of life. The first one is short-term resource issues, meaning they can't pay their rent this month. In the air conditioning business, this shows up in off-season people who are not guaranteed 40 hours a week, and they were busy as heck in the summer, and now it's the winter, and they don't have work. work, and somebody who offers 40 weeks a year comes in and says, well, we've solved that problem. You're going to get a little more time. In terms of the sustainability, I'll give you an example. Somebody works in a place where every 2 weeks they get threatened they're going to be fired. There you go. This is not sustainable. I can't have this conversation every 2 weeks. The workplace can create a certain tone that says only the strong survive and we don't know which you are, like that kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, so that's the most common I hear. And that's the most common that I see. The fact that the manager or the big voice in the room says things like that to a group of people.
And then right alongside of that is we have health insurance, but it doesn't cover maternity and we want to have a baby. So we don't have to have a baby right now, but this is not sustainable.
That's 1 and 2. Take us to number 3.
Number 3 are relationships. Recent study out of Harvard, you do a lot of research on happiness. They asked Americans, what is your greatest source of unhappiness? And the number 1 answer, conversations with my boss.
Are you serious?
Greatest source of unhappiness in life.
Forget public speaking.
Oh yeah, none of that stuff. Just a tip for managers and owners who are listening to the podcast, try to get out of the mindset that a promotion is step 1 in a succession planning process. The more they're already doing the job, the less likely the failure at promotion, and the more continuity the company has when this promotion happens. If the company can feel it at the point of promotion, you probably did it too soon.
That's solid. We also need to have ready for that position clarity on what the growth of this position is, what career path, right?
That's right. To some degree here, we're talking about retention, but recruiting is the other side of the same coin. But everybody in your company, unless it's intentionally a short-term job, everybody in your company should know what's in it for them to stay for 5 more years.
Actually say, well, I'm going to hire this person based on experience and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, go to number 5.
So the last one is what I call the pleasure of expertise. And this is someone who often has a lot of experience. They still like doing the task. They don't really aspire to become a manager. They like the work, but...
Ooh, say that again, man. Say that again. They like the pleasure of being an expert at it. They're not looking to be a manager. So this whole idea of hiring slow and firing fast.
When we talk about hire slow, fire fast, we're talking about a transactional hire and fire. So the slow part now of hiring is getting to know that person more deeply. And that process gives you the time. There's more interviews. There's more conversation. So you know when you're hiring them why they really want this job, not just that they want a job, because they already have it.
You need to have to create this in-house machine is the missing link.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all we have left is the traditional transactional hurry up and slow down to try to find somebody. And that's not working.
If you feel like I don't need an in-house recruiting machine, you definitely need an in-house retention machine. And it's the same 5 issues. You've got to ensure short-term security, long-term sustainability, relationships, status and advancement, and the opportunity to do what I do best every day. That is your retention game.